Hello, everybody. My name is Lush Eisner, and welcome to the Canadian Money Talk, the channel about Canadian investing and personal finance. Please like and subscribe. I record a video per week, so make sure you ring the notification bell to get notified each time one comes out. There are money moves we should be making at certain times in our lives. Once you get to your 50s and 60s, but prior to retirement, these are some things you should look at doing. This is part of a series on what to look at doing financially at different times in your life. You should be credit card debt free by now and ideally not have a mortgage. If you do, pay it off to prepare for retirement. As a general rule of thumb, you should have 6 times your current income saved by age of 50 and 8 times by the age of 60. Children should be out of university by now and hopefully out of the house, so there will be fewer expenses. If the kids are out of the house, consider downsizing to access some of the equity you built up in your house. Also know, however, that this will prevent the children from coming back to live with you if their relationship fails or life goes badly. Maintain the 3 to 6 month of spending emergency fund before investing. The fund turns an emergency into an inconvenience. It's not going to even beat inflation, but the emergency fund is there to make you feel safe, and so as not to force you to sell investments if an emergency or job loss occurs. Speaking of jobs, you are likely to be near the top of your earnings at work or in your business, so try to save and invest as much as you need to meet your financial goals. If your debts are gone, you should be investing well north of the 15% of gross income normally suggested. If you want to retire early, or at least earlier than 65, or have more choices and independence later in your life, save and invest more. If you can only do 6%, even now, it's better than zero. So work on it later, but work on it with a sense of urgency. So you understand the withdrawal rate and dollar amount your portfolio will support and what portfolio size to aim for. You can use the 4% rule. 4% rule says that spending 4% of your portfolio's initial value adjusted for inflation each year will make the portfolio last 35 years. To put it another way, the portfolio amount you should aim for is 25 times your annual predicted spending in retirement. Evaluate which accounts to invest in. If you are still in a low tax bracket and expecting to make more money later, the TFSA is a good account. But now you should be at your peak earning years. As you make more money, RSPs or the FHSA account, if you are eligible, will give you tax relief. But in case of the RSP, you need to be in a lower tax bracket when pulling the money out than when you are putting it in. For those in a relationship, a spousal RSP may be used to, in the future, even out the income between the two spouses to lower overall taxes. Generally, only when you have exhausted all registered accounts you are eligible for should you look at non-registered accounts. At this point, you should look at preparing your portfolio to run the bucket portfolio. Start moving your portfolio into the 3 buckets of number 1, 2 years of spending in cash in bucket 1, 8 years of spending in safe, large companies and dividend payers and bonds in bucket 2, and the rest of your portfolio in stocks. The cash bucket prevents you from having to sell your portfolio after it has gone down, so it is your safety bucket, which will not beat inflation, however. The stock bucket, bucket 3, is to allow your portfolio to outgrow inflation, although it will have a lot of volatility. Your emergency fund can begin to be rolled into bucket 1 because cash is needed. Your portfolio may already be roughly in that configuration, but if it is not, start moving it to this configuration over time so as not to spike up your tax bracket in 1 year if you do all the moves in a single year and you have a lot of capital gains. If you're not able to save sufficiently even at this point, start and stick to a budget where you assign every dollar a job and have the desired savings and investing built into the budget. If your employer has a pension plan, understand what kind it is, and if it is a defined contribution plan, invest just enough to maximize the employer match. Most employer plans are high fee and not always great performers, So it is usually better to invest anything beyond what gets you the max match outside of the employer plan. Look at your RRSPs and know you have to start pulling money out at 71 years old after converting the RRSP to a RIF. These are the percentages you'll need to pull each year. The percentages are of the December 31st RRSP balance of the previous year. If you have significant RRSPs, say over $500,000 in today's dollars, you may end up in a high tax bracket when being forced to pull large amounts out of your RRSP. So if this is happening, try to pull the money out early before you have to in something called an RRSP meltdown to spread the amounts over more years and be in lower tax brackets. So you may choose to begin pulling the RSPs out at 60 years old. Also, determine when you will be taking old age security, OAS, which you can take as early as 65 or wait until 70 to get higher payments, but fewer of them, and when to take the Canada Pension Plan, CPP, which you can take as early as 60. I'll talk more about this in the next video. Look at insurance. If your work doesn't have disability insurance, evaluate whether it is worth to buy it separately. If you have financial dependents, for example, you have children who would be financially worse off if you passed away, look at getting term life insurance, which is cheap and it is just life insurance. Get an amount that covers paying off the mortgage and 10 times your salary should you pass away. Avoid any permanent or whole life insurance products which mix insurance and investing. Note that if it is just you or you have a spouse who works and the rest of your family doesn't get financial support from you, you don't need life insurance. Also, as your portfolio grows and you are nearing financial independence, you may elect to be self-insured and not purchase life insurance. Your dependents, assuming you are leaving your portfolio to them, should be able to maintain their lifestyle using those assets. This is 100% certain if you and your family are financially independent. Lifestyle inflation is something to be aware of as you make more money. Invest most of your raise rather than spending it. You can look at this as never getting a raise again. Since you were able to live on what you were making before, you can continue to live on that after the raise and invest the raise instead. Create an estate plan, especially a will, but also directions if you're in a coma, and who should look after your financial affairs if you become incapacitated and unlikely to recover or cannot make decisions for yourself as dementia sets in, for example. Different provinces and especially countries have different rules, so make sure you set up whatever's applicable in your area. As your assets increase in value, it may be worthwhile to engage a paid-by-the-hour financial advisor to create a financial plan for you and update it every few years and look at your portfolio. The advisor will also help you with your goal setting, knowing what size of portfolio you need to retire with, and whether you are on track, need to invest more, work longer, plan to spend less in retirement, etc. The sooner you pull some of these levers and make adjustments, the easier it will be because you can still let time do some of the work. Also note that some people don't invest very much throughout their working lives because of other priorities. Their 50s is their last shot to have a decent retirement. If they are at the peak of their career earnings and they really buckle down and single-mindedly invest, they can still have a decent retirement. If they started early, however, they could have done it far more easily with less money and let time do the work. And they would have had more choices and perhaps even financial freedom a lot earlier. Any new relationships, marriage, and cohabitation should be preceded by some version of a prenuptial agreement or cohabitation agreement to protect the assets you had going into the relationships. These are some financial and non-financial items you should consider in your 50s and 60s. Did I miss anything? Please let me know and other viewers in the comments. If you have any requests on what you'd like me to cover in future videos, please put that in the comment section. If you'd like to get in touch, please reach out on any of these social media channels, and may you have a profitable day.